Chiz is one of the best DPSs in Neverness to Everness right now for multiple reasons. Not only is she an SSR character that you can get for free with a signature that you can also get for free, you will get full dupes not only of her, but also her signature through raising your City Tycoon level. This makes Chiz an absolute powerhouse, especially when you reach her 3rd awakening. Even then, the character won't play itself. You still need to learn her kit and how it works, and that's where I come in. If you still haven't figured out her kit, what her best stats are, and what her best teammates and rotations are, I'm here to break everything down for you. Welcome guys, I'm Akira, and let's dive right into it. As we will go through Esper Abilities, arcs, console build, team comps and rotations, awakenings, pros and cons, and even an hidden mechanic. Let's start with her Esper Abilities. Chiz is basically very dependent on her ability and how you manage your grain. And grain is this bar right here the game has just highlighted, and I'm zooming in on it right now. You gain grain by basically doing anything like hitting the enemies with your basic attacks, skill, and ultimate. But we will get into that a bit later in a few seconds. So this is her basic string of 5 attacks. With her heavy attack, there's an hidden mechanic that I already showed in this channel before on my daily and weekly routine video that basically allows you to get funds from the enemies that you hit. So if you hit an enemy with your heavy, you will get an amount of funds. Afterwards, you can't get any more funds from that enemy unless you kill him with your heavy as well. So you can get 2 times funds per enemy. The easiest way to farm these funds daily, because there's a cap daily, is to just go on rabbit holes, the easiest level, and just spam heavy attacks. This is what it looks like. Then we have your redirect skill, and the redirect skill basically deals damage based on your grain, so you always want to make sure that this is never below 0, preferably even at max, because your damage will heavily depend on how much grain you're holding right now. And grain is basically like, think of it as money, and money is power. If you have no money, you're broke, you're homeless, you have no damage. If you have a lot of money, you're rich, perfect, amazing, and you will do massive amounts of damage. So as you can see, with no grain, doing measly 1.3k. You can also combo the redirect skill like this. Third it will be this. Then you can also hold your redirect skill, but keep in mind that this will drain your grain real fast, so you can do this. And it will drain your grain. As you can see, I'm going in the negatives, and my damage will become lower and lower each time that I go further down negative. Here comes a very good mechanic that you need to know about Chiz, her ultimate. Her ultimate will enter you in a surplus state, which is this state right here. When you're in the surplus state, you will get this grain market, and the only thing you need to know is you press your ability above the line, good, below the line, bad. If you press it above the line, you will get a ton of grain, but if you press it under the line, you will lose a ton of grain. What you want to do now is, I'm above the line, so I will press it, and as you can see, I gained a ton of grain. And in the surplus state, if you're doing an AoE floor, you can even hold your skill, because it will count the first activation point, and you will not be losing this. You will instead be gaining it, because if you pressed it on a peak, you will just be gaining constantly, and that's very good for AoE floors. But you need to keep in mind that you need to end it before your ultimate ends. If your surplus state ends before you end it, you will start losing funds really quickly. To end it, you can just press E again. Let me show you. I'm doing this, and then I just press E again to end that state. To upgrade your skills, you want to farm the doves, the whispers, and the Morphic's Good Boy stamp. We will get into this a bit later when we talk about her stats and console build, but her skills cannot crit, so ignore crit completely almost. So as you can see here, cannot crit, cannot crit, not crit, which basically means crit is nearly useless to her, because her biggest damage will come from her skill, and if she cannot crit with it, why would you build crit? This we've already talked about her basic, her skill, and ultimate. Let's check her support skill. Her support skill basically just deals 1 instance of Cosmos damage. Then you have her passive 1, which will make your charge reaction even better. And then you have her passive 2, which increases her charge efficiency by 20% further while on the field. You also have her life skill, which is kinda good, not gonna lie. And she will get a new one in the next big update, which will show you the collectibles on Pink Paws Iced. For the upgrade order, you want to maximize her skill first, it's her biggest source of damage, then her ultimate, then her passive 1, her passive 2, attacks, and finally her support skill. For her arcs, there's really not anything to know, you just use her signature, you get it for free as well through the City Tycoon level, so there's no excuse to not use her signature. If you don't have her signature, just wait a bit and you will get it eventually on City Tycoon, so just use her signature. You shouldn't even be pondering about using another arc. Her signature is super good, it gives her attack, it gives her crit damage, because yes, I said she doesn't crit, but on her ultimate there's an hit that crits. but it's a guaranteed crit, so crit damage is okay to build on her a bit. And then her arc passive will increase your Cosmos damage by a certain percent for every 100,000 funds that you are holding in your account, up to 10 stacks. So to really maximize Chiz's damage, make sure you always have 1 million funds in your account at any given moment that you are planning to use her. As you can see, I have the 10 stacks down here, and if you guys also want to see what buffs you have active, etc., you can just go on the settings, go in this third one, compact status bar mode, and disable it. Afterwards, you will also be able to see your buffs. That arc alone is giving me 30% Cosmos damage, and as you can see, I am with 117.5%. Let's move on to her console build. Her console build looks like this, and her stats look like this. She is obviously on a Lost Radiance, and the cartridge you want to use is a Lost Radiance 1, obviously, with Cosmos damage as its main stat. If you can't get the Cosmos damage one, I would go for universal damage, attack percent, and then crit damage. Chiz will get a 10% increase in Cosmos damage by each Type 3 module you use, so this is her best lineup: 4 Type 3 modules, 2 Type 2s, and 1 Type 4. This will not only use Lost Radiance to its fullest, but it will also maximize your Cosmos damage by even 40%. And this is where it gets kinda different from other characters. As I've just said, her biggest damage is her redirect skill, and she cannot crit with it, so the stats you wanna aim for to properly maximize her damage are damage percent, attack percent, and only then crit damage, then maybe cycle intensity depending on what comp you are running with her, maybe break intensity even, and crit rate just completely ignore it. You can also get some flat attack in there. My modules look like this, and as you can see, all of them have attack percent and damage percent. At level 80, Chiz's stats should look like this: 20,000 HP, 2,000 attack, 40% crit rate, 100% crit damage, 20% universal damage bonus, 55% Cosmos damage before the upgrades of your arc, and finally keep in mind that you will probably not reach those stats until like level 70 or 80 because it's really hard. You will need to get very lucky with all your pulls on modules and cartridges. For our team comps and rotation. Firstly, you have the solo Chiz, which is super strong, and yesterday I even released a video clearing floor 10 of Terminal Station Prime Circle with her. Then you have Charged Chiz, which is basically Chiz, Juyan, Hathor, and Zero. You also have Hyper Carry Chiz, which is Chiz, Juyan, Hathor, and Danielle. And then you have the free-to-play option that I was running, trying to experiment with it, which is Chiz, Mint, Skia, and Edgar. Honestly, I don't know if this comp is really good, but I was using it just to test it out, and it was basically just to get the charge reaction in there. For our solo rotation, it's super simple. You just want to hit the enemy, build some grain, make sure you're dodging the attacks, and then ultimate every time you have it available, because it will build your grain even faster. Spam your ability when you can as well, because it will deal some decent damage. For our charge team, independent if it's the free-to-play one or the first one that I told you, the objective is really simple. You just want to be building charge at any time possible. So I swap to Mind, let me swap to Edgar, go to Skia, go to Aniel, ultimate, and then it's the same. You want to hit the market and ult every time you have your ult up, because that's what charge is here for. Charge is here to basically give your Chiz a lot of ultimates. If you are struggling to stay alive, this team will also be good for you, because Edgar will keep you alive through his ultimate. It kills you. Unfortunately, I don't have Hathor, so I can show the hyper carry rotation to you, but I will try to exemplify with Skia. And it basically goes like this. So you want to start with Juyan, go use your E, ultimate, swap to Chiz, swap to Skia, or Hathor in your case, ultimate with the Hathor, go to Aniel, ultimate with Aniel, your redirect skill, go to Chiz, ultimate with Chiz, and then hit the market. And the objective with this team comp is basically to keep Aniel with 100% of ult uptime, because Aniel's ultimate will buff your Chiz's damage. With Hathor you will get an even bigger DPS than I do with Skia, obviously, and it will work even better because Hathor ultimate and skills are actually quite decent. For Chiz's awakenings, and remember, in this game not only can you change awakenings to experiment with every single one, you will also get every single awakening of Chiz for free. You have A1, which basically increases the storage capacity of your grain and grain loan by 10%, which is that part that I've mentioned a few times in this video. Then you have A2, which basically makes you reach full grain capacity faster, as it will give you 10% current grain as interest per second when you are in your ultimate state. This means that it's basically compound interest, because let's say you add 1000 grain, you will gain 10 grain, but on the next one you will gain 11 grain. So it's basically compound interest and you will reach maximum capacity faster. Then you have our A3, which basically increases the chance of a grain price increase by 50%, meaning it will be 50% more likely to get those big peaks in your surplus state. You have A4, which will increase your grain acquisition efficiency by 20% from every source. You have A5, which will grant you 100% of grain equal to the grain storage limit when you enter combat. When you enter combat, you already enter with 100% grain. And you have A6, which will increase your cosmos damage of grain by 15%. To make Chiz an absolute powerhouse, these were the awakenings that I would recommend upgrading first, and it would go like this: A2, A4, A1, A5, A3, and then A6. Also in this game, there is a bonus for awakenings when you reach 3 and 6, which is called the Resonance Effect. And for Chiz, this matters in the guide because you will eventually get to this point. And the bonus for 3 awakenings is you will increase your gain acquisition efficiency by 50% when you are in that state, so when you go into the negatives. And for 6 awakenings, you will reduce their cosmos damage resistance by 10% when Chiz hits them. And now let's move on to her pros and cons. For her pros, she is a strong free main DPS, including her full dupes being optimal without spending a dime in the game. She also has a very high damage ceiling when grain is managed properly. If you use her rotation skill that I told you not to do, like the one you can hold, you can even swap characters in during that, but although that's a pro, it has to be really fast so you don't go into the negative grain. Both her Awakening and Resonance improve her grain regeneration and her damage conversion. She deals a lot of damage, she is a main DPS after all. She has shop management buffs, and she will even get a new life skill that shows you all the collectibles locations in Pink Paws Iced. Then for her cons, she is mechanically complex, especially around grain timing and grain market optimization. If you don't know any better, you will constantly be going into the negatives or just wasting your grain, and then you will think she does no damage. And she's a bit of a selfish DPS, in the sense that she wants a lot of field time, and honestly she doesn't really need teammates. She's like basically a one-man army. And that, guys, was my Chiz guide. I hope this was helpful to you. A few people had asked me to do a Chiz guide already, but honestly, I wasn't really sure about the character yet because I didn't do any research on it. I didn't build the character yet, etc. So now that I finally did both of those, I decided it's time to finally make a guide for Chiz, as I think I am well versed to actually bring it to you. I saw a few content creators that were saying that you need to build crit rate and crit damage on her, which is not true at all, because when she crits, it's guaranteed crit with her ultimate, and their biggest source of damage, which is her redirect skill, doesn't crit even if you have 1,000,000% crit rate. So use your resources to focus on damage and attack instead. It will benefit you a lot more. I hope this guide was useful to you, and if so, please check out my other guides and my other videos, because I do a lot of this type of content where I try to teach you guys what I know about the game and try to make basically a junction of all the information that I pick up here and there to basically bring a complete guide of virtually anything that you can think of, including other characters, optimizations for the endgame, weekly optimizations on your routine or daily, etc. If you enjoyed this type of video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment to let me know what to bring next.